Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're living in, it's time for Sumud. All about humanity, so this right here for everyone. Uplift, amplify, empower everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're living in, it's time for Sumud.
On this episode of the Sumud podcast, we uplift, empower, and amplify TV, film actor, content creator, and social activist Jacob Berger. A New York City native, he decided to pursue acting professionally in 2010 after one of his comedic rap videos went viral on YouTube. He gained traction in the entertainment industry when he won first prize in a short film contest conducted by the network Showtime, which led to major TV and film roles. But he isn't joining me today just because of his great acting. He has been an unapologetic and outspoken advocate for the Palestinian people. In fact, he is on his way to Egypt to support Palestinians. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you watch or listen, and follow us on social media, either at Sumud Pod or at Sumud Podcast. I want to give a quick shout out, Jacob, if you're okay. If you remember, we were at the ADC conference. Fatima of Empowered Muslim Women gave me this bracelet that says Free Palestine, Save Gaza. She makes really good shirts and sweaters. She's amazing. If you all don't mind, follow her on Instagram, Empowered Muslim Women with an A. Again, Fatima, amazing work. We appreciate everything that you're doing. Jacob, welcome.
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
So I just watched a video of you doing Depka. I didn't know you could move like that.
I learned pretty quickly. Dopka is very similar to a New York style of dance called getting sturdy. So I had a really good Dopka teacher, this woman named Mona out in Toronto, who's apparently very well known on the Dopka scene. So I came up with a little sketch comedy idea to give it a little life, a little zest, like I was my first time doing it, which it was actually. We just took 10 minutes to learn it a little bit, and just a cute little video. You know, you got to be able to laugh through times of pain and things like that, and, you know, still find a zest for life.
Yeah, I did notice when the Depka got serious, you sort of backed away a little bit.
Yeah, well, I could only keep up for a little bit, and I'm like, you know what, you guys go crazy, go do your thing, because they took it easy on me, because the one that I learned when I was in Egypt from people from Gaza, like in a classroom full of kids, like it was much harder to keep up because they were just going in a circle nonstop, and the legs was kicking, and it was just too much for me.
Yeah, I hear that. Your story is phenomenal. I mean, it's hard to really, I don't like to label people, but you're an actor, but you're also a rapper.
Yeah.
You're an entertainer. I mean, how would you define yourself?
I would just call myself an entertainer, Renaissance man. You know, I act, I sing, I rap, I dance, I do it all. I did theater as a kid, and then I became a social worker. I went and put those, you know, entertainment showbiz stuff away for a while, but then I circled back to it. Like you said in the intro, I did a comedy rap video that went like a little viral in 2010, and then I sort of joined the entertainment industry and started working in TV and film. Started getting major TV film auditions and roles like 3 years in, like 2014. Fast forward 2017, I go viral with the parody video to the song Bad and Bougie as Donald Trump, and that went like really viral. And then there was another video that I can't say the name because it's a little haram. It's for let's just say for the kitty cat. It was a rap challenge that I did as my police officer character that like put me on the world stage and everything and changed my life. And then I lived out in LA for a few years. I moved back here to New York a couple years ago. And then obviously we're up to now where I've always been an activist using my platform to make content, whether it's for Black Lives Matter or something about migrants or civil rights in general. I've always used my platform in that way, in addition to the comedy and the acting and the TV and film. But obviously the last coming up on a year anniversary, things have gotten way more intense and serious, and I've kind of shifted in my focus of the content that I make.
Yeah, I left the name of that video out of the intro on purpose.
Right, it's a little haram, but
Yeah.
you can't.
No. It's very haram. It's not a little bit, just to be clear. So I in reading about you, you said, and you mentioned it here, you're a social worker. That is both confusing to me, but also it makes so much sense because it's clear that you have a very big heart and that you want to do good in the world. I just want to know, how did you get into social work, and then how did you transition out?
Well, both my parents were social workers. My dad's a therapist, my mom an administrative social worker. So I grew up with social work values and just realizing, you know, my white privilege and things of that nature, and racism and all those things. Also, I'm from the Bronx in New York City, which is the birthplace of hip hop culture. So all of my friends growing up were mostly Black and Latino. And I think just having that experience just made me geared towards wanting to help people and using my privilege for good. So I was an addictions counselor for a while. I went to Columbia University. I got my MSW, worked in the field for a few years, but then the red tape bureaucracy, it breaks you down. And it just, you go into a profession like that, a cockeyed optimist, like, I'm going to change the world, God, Stalin, God. And that was actually also the year when I was in social work school, was the year Obama was running for president. And that was during the primary when no one believed in him, but I believed in him. And my grandfather was actually friends with Obama in Chicago. He was a famous rabbi. That's another story there. But I was just very motivated by social justice issues. And that's why I wanted to pursue that early on in my life. But that's why it's funny, like it's coming full circle, because now that I'm going out to Egypt for a while and working with people from Gaza, it's kind of like I'm employing that social work training to make things happen out there, because it's very intense being out there dealing with so much trauma and everything. So you need to bring a certain level of professionalism to that situation. So I think I'm uniquely qualified for that compared to other content creators or actors who might be going out doing humanitarian work.
Yeah, and talk to me about Fannie Lou Hamer and her influence on you.
Oh, I did a show about Fannie Lou Hamer, very famous civil rights activist. Her old saying was, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired," and that's a really good sentiment for where I feel like I'm at in the world and where we're all at in the world. Just, we need to come together and we need to do something, because we can't live in the same status quo that's been going on. I think everyone's sick and tired, and we just got to keep it moving.
Yeah. And when did you realize, because I think you did your birthright, quote, birthright visit to Israel. You grew up in a Jewish family, obviously. Would you say you grew up in a Zionist family as well, or not so much?
No, not so much. Like most American Jews, I went to Hebrew school growing up until the age of, 13, till you have your bar mitzvah. And then after that, you don't really, I'm sort of like a cultural Jew is what a lot of New York Jews are. And even Zionist Jews, like they don't really go to temple. They don't keep kosher. They don't observe the Sabbath, but we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, Hanukkah, like those 4 big holidays. And it's really just more about the family unit. And as far as that goes, like a lot of us, we're called Reform Jews.
Yeah. And can you describe your experience in Israel? Did you run into any of your Arab Habibis when you're out there?
Yeah, I mean, when I was about 19 years old. I was in college. I went with Hillel, which is a pretty well-known national Jewish organization. Because basically how it works is like there's different groups that organize the trip. So some might go with Hillel, some might go with another, maybe a more conservative Jewish group. So I went out there, and I remember we go to Al-Quds, and we go to the Wailing Wall. And they're like, okay, whatever you do, don't go to the Arabic section, stay in the Israeli section. And I'm like, I'm a 19-year-old guy from New York. You don't tell me what the hell to do. I want to go to the Arabic section. So I go over there. I go up to a shop owner. I'm chatting him up. Hey, so what's up, man? What's the deal? You guys like really hate Jews? What's the deal? He's like, oh, man, business is business. Habibi, like, you want to buy a shirt? And I was like, and the funny thing was, all the shirts were half as much as what the Jews were charging. So I was like, isn't that ironic? So yeah, that was my main experience with it. But they seduce you with the Judaism very much. It's very insidious looking back on it now, the way they unfolded. Like they take you to Mossad, and so you're in a tent with other people. And then they have this like day where it's all like, I'm Israel. It's basically like a Jewish singles night. They want to make people have this experience. That's why they target 18 to 25, because they know that's when people are most impressionable. And there are a lot of American Jews who end up doing Iliad after that experience and become Israeli citizens and join the IDF. So yeah, I remember, and then at the end of the trip, they take you to the Holocaust Museum, which is very, very intense. And then, at the end, they're like, does anyone want to reaffirm their Jewishness, have their bar mitzvah? I'm like, yeah, actually, I want to do it. Like, so I did that out there, and I came back. I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep the Sabbath. I'm only dating Jewish women. I'm going to keep the culture going. I was in college. That shit wore off in a week. I was back to dating Puerto Rican women and eating pork. It was whatever. But yeah, it's very insidious the way they do that, because what Jew's gonna say no to a free 10-day trip to Palestine? Like, come on now.
Yeah. Did I read that correct? They surrounded you with women that are in the military to kind of...
Well, yeah, there's usually soldiers that come with you. On every group has soldiers assigned to them, so there'll be like a few guys and a few girls. So that way, both sides, and that's also another thing. I mean, I think I've seen an article the other day how they use sort of sex to entice people to support Israel. So that's why they bring these hot, like our age men and women to fulfill some love connections.
Yeah. So, but when did you know something just wasn't right about the situation in Palestine? When did that like really hit you or trigger?
I mean, I think it's something that I've always known. I think, unfortunately, the bad thing is that a lot of us had just begun to like accept this is the status quo. Israel is this powerful super nation, and they're gonna oppress Palestinians, and like that's it. And like it is what like I never like actively was like, yeah, Israel, like never that in my life, because I've always stood with the oppressed. But when I saw, October 7th happen, and then I saw the reaction that I was getting right away, literally the next day I made a post about like, hey guys, let's keep in mind, like this didn't just happen in a vacuum. Like this isn't because they hate Jews. This is because they've been oppressed for 75 years. And I was like viciously attacked by it. I opened a whole can of worms by pointing that out. And, then obviously it's been a real education, real crash course this past year. Obviously I've spent more time with Arabs and Muslim people than I ever have in my life. And it's really opened my eyes to a lot of things, including like the part of going overseas and being in the Middle East and seeing that like all the shit that they fill our heads with here in America as Americans, that like Muslims are scary, like Muslims hate Americans, they hate Jews, they hate, like it's all bullshit. So yeah, the world's turned upside down now, and hopefully the momentum is now with the oppressed. It's just going to take time, unfortunately.
And when you said you got attacked after October 7th, because you started posting on Instagram quite a bit, very honest yet pro-Palestinian content. You were just keeping it real. But I think I read somewhere where your own high school classmates were reaching out to you, and a lot of people disowned you. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. People reaching out from even elementary school, like just call me a terrorist and things like that. And just the most, and this is also early on. Remember, this is when like the media and everyone was kind of standing with Israel. Like you remember what it was like those first few weeks. It wasn't like framed the way it is now. It was like they're fighting. But I saw from day one, like what was going on. And I just had to speak on it, and I wasn't going to back down because I know how powerful my words are as a Jewish American speaking out for this is. It's on us, especially because this is on our hands. We have a role in this, and evil will succeed when good men do nothing. So that's why I felt like I needed to use my platform for good and speak out.
But did you know you were going to be attacked so viciously?
Yeah, I've always been attacked because I've been viral since 2017. So like I already have very thick skin. Like I'm used to like getting death threats and harassment and things like that. It just comes with the territory. Like 99.9% of it is all bullshit. Like it's just people trying to scare you and things like that. So it doesn't bother me, but it's definitely intense. I mean, I pretty much have stepped away or lost a lot of like close friends, people I've known for years. But I've made a new community of people that have the same values as me and stuff. I'm at peace with it. Unfortunately, like this is part of revolution and change. It's not going to be easy. We are going to lose people. We are going to have to reevaluate what's important in life.
So you once said, if anyone is going to change the way America deals with this whole thing, it's going to be the Jewish Americans. What does that mean?
It means that using my white privilege and my Jewish privilege, like the onus is on us because unfortunately people will listen. You could say something, we could say the same exact thing, but people are going to listen to me or give me more credence because I'm a Jewish American. And it's always billed like, oh, Israel's a place to keep Jews safe. When we know this is bullshit. Like it's colonization, it's imperialism. All the facts on the ground show otherwise. They should just come move to New York and LA. They'd love it, or in Florida. Like just have the Israeli America would welcome. I just feel like it's really important that that as Jews we speak out, we stand in solidarity with our Arab and Palestinian and Muslim brothers and sisters on this.
And I think you said something very powerful. We need a people's revolution to start in our minds.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Guy Heron said, the revolution will not be televised, which is a song. And it's not about like, it won't be on the internet and TV. Of course it's going to be there, but it's about the revolution starts in the mind. Like until we get to a place where people are getting as angry and frustrated with the system and the world as we are, nothing's going to change because it's obvious at this point that America is going to keep funding Israel. They have no intention of stopping anytime soon. It's just the sad reality. So the only way I see this moving in a faster way is if more people get out in the streets, more people boycott. Like how we make Israel fall is with economic sanctions, with boycotting, with those. You already see their economies in free fall. And that's how it worked with South Africa and other nations that went through similar things. The revolution starts in the mind, and that's why social media is so powerful. That's why they try and suppress social media, because that's how we get directly into people's thoughts and minds and such.
Yeah. And I mean, you go to many protests. Do you think that they're effective? Do you think you're changing the hearts and minds of people?
Yeah, the protests are definitely a very important component. Like, obviously, like in the immediate, no, the protests aren't doing anything, because it's still, people are being blown up every single day. Israel kills a child every 30 minutes in Gaza. But overall, it's part of the larger movement, and it continues to snowball. You look at any other great social movement, whether it's civil rights or Vietnam or abolition of slavery, like it takes years. Like, we're just happen to be this is like a very definitive moment. It's been going on for 76 years. Look at Algiers. It took 32 years for them to get the French out. Like, we're just at the precipice of a very important turning point moment, and we need to all just come together on this and keep pushing it.
And do you think we're doing that, though? Just from what you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's without a doubt. You can see that we're with the online war, the digital with information war. Like, their lies are not working anymore. The only people that works on are Zionists themselves, I feel. And yeah, it's just, unfortunately, it's going to take a long time. For as long as Zionism has existed, it might take just as long for it to reverse the effects of it.
Yeah. Are you feeling the impact? Because again, you're putting yourself out there. You're speaking up. Are you losing any work? I know, is it Euphoria? You were supposed to shoot a scene or an episode with Euphoria. Is that right?
No. I booked Euphoria, but I got paid, but they had to cut the scene short because it was the last few days. But I worked on his next project. But Sam Levinson is actually a super Zionist, like, crazy person. So I had to block him on social media after. I worked with him before October 7th and stuff. I had to see with Eli Roth, another Zio. But no, funny enough, this is my best year of TV film work. I'm in the new Saturday Night movie coming out October 11th, directed by Jason Reitman. You guys can see that in theaters, coming to you soon. And also in a Ryan Murphy series about Aaron Hernandez. I have no way of knowing if it's affecting myself, because the way it works is you have agents and managers. They submit you for auditions. Like, I still get auditions. Like, it's not, but like, TV and film is still important to me, but it's obviously not my main focus at the moment, with me shifting to really going full time, helping out people from Gaza, across, halfway across the world from where I am.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this, but it's safe to say that Hollywood is obviously not very pro-Palestinian.
Well, it's getting better, I think. People like Mark Ruffalo and other artists. There's a SAG after a ceasefire or for peace, whatever it is. There's more people speaking out, and I think that Hollywood will begin to realize that it's an asset to have pro-Palestinian actors who actually have morals and things like that. Like, look at people like Michael Rappaport. Like, I don't think no one's going to be supporting his projects, or Amy Schumer, or all these people. Like, they're poison. Like, sure, there's probably projects they have in the can from before October 7th that'll probably still be being released because they've been shot. But overall, like, they're done.
Yeah. I got to ask about Michael Rappaport. Do you remember the movie Higher Learning?
Yeah.
You remember his character, Remy, who was a super...
What?
Yeah.
What?
Do you think he forgot that he's not in that movie anymore with his actions right now?
It's crazy, because me and Michael actually used to be friends. Like, we were actually friends, like, in real life. Like, we met after I went viral in 2017. I used to go to some of his shows and things like that. And he's not at all the boisterous character that he presents himself on social media as. He's much more reserved, quiet in person. But he just went off the deep end, and I think his pride and ego are just too big and heavy for him to admit that he was wrong or anything like that. And you see him now, like, he literally is like demonic, like taking joy in Israel's terrorist attack against Lebanon the other day, like making this deranged video, like that's their new thing, like literally celebrating terrorism. But if Hamas did that to within Israel proper, it would be terrorist attack coming. Like, it's just the hypocrisy is astounding.
So do you think he's being paid for this or anything like that?
Yeah, sure, at some point, maybe. I don't know. I wish I knew about because everyone's always like, you're getting paid by Qatar and Iran. I'm like, where's my check at? I'd be on TikTok doing battles for like $10. I'm pretty sure if I was getting paid by Iran or Qatar or George Soros, I wouldn't be on fucking TikTok, excuse my language, on TikTok doing damn battles and things like that. Be so for real.
Yeah. I hear that. And speaking of it, or Michael Rappaport, I think you said the first time you experienced a hate crime was when you were wearing a keffiyeh, correct?
Yeah.
Can you describe that experience?
Sure. There's been a few times. The first time I was walking down the street, minding my business. It wasn't even at a rally or anything like that. It was just Manhattan near Central Park walking. And this guy standing in front of his car, and he just shouts at me. He's, hey, only F words and R words, wear those, a couple different slurs. I'm like, what did you just say to me? And he repeats it. And I take my phone out and I record him. And he wants to, then he kind of like, once he sees my phone's out, he's like kind of tones down a little bit. Long story short, I end up exposing him. His brother owns this financial company. He's like apologizing to me. Oh, he's mentally ill, this, that, and the third. Yeah, that, and then I, like a few months later, I got attacked at a land sale thing. And we were protesting because they were doing, selling land to the West Bank. That's a big thing they do here in New York, some of the Zion communities. And I was attacked while I was protecting, because there's a group of Orthodox Jews. I forget how to say their name exactly, that march with us at the Palestine rally. So I always try and protect them because the Zions will come up and attack them and shout at them. And you're not real Jews. Fuck you. So I try and provide a barrier, and I end up getting assaulted and everything. So yeah, so it's kind of ironic. And the only time I get death threats is from Zionists and Jewish people. No Muslims are sending me death threats and things like that, or making me feel. I feel more comfortable in Patterson, New Jersey, or Dearborn, with like where I'm the only white person, thing full of Muslims, than I would walking on the Upper East Side here in New York with my keffiyeh on through a pro-Israel march.
Yeah. I hope you felt at home at the ADC conference in Dearborn. That was...
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. You talked about the land sale piece, just for the audience who may not understand what that means. Can you walk them through that?
Yeah, so there's active communities here in New York and New Jersey, and I'm sure other states as well, that work in cohorts with the Israeli government to basically sell land that's not theirs, like land in the West Bank. And they have these auctions, and you've probably seen videos online of people protesting them, or Palestinians trying to attend the auction but being denied by, Zionists. And that's the thing that really happens. So it's unacceptable that it's a crime by all measures of law, local, state, federal, international, and they think it's cool to let that shit slide. So, that's basically what the land sale things are about.
And they don't care, right? They just do whatever they want to do. And I mean, when you engage with those individuals, I'm sure you're running into them at these protests. What are they saying to you? Are they just avoiding you?
Oh, I get the usual, oh, you're a capo, you're a self-treating Jew. Do you know what a capo is?
No.
So a capo were the Jews during the Holocaust in the concentration camps that were basically like the guards, like that were like helping out the Nazis, keep everyone in check more or less, and would escort them into the gas chambers and things like that. So it's a very common slur that they use for me, which is crazy, because by them invoking the word capo, they're implying that the current state for Jews across the world is comparable to that of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane to say something like that. And it's funny because on top of it, they're always quick to be like, it's not a genocide. It's not but you want to use Holocaust terminology for me.
Yeah.
But this isn't its own the cognitive dissonance is a whole other level.
And how do you engage with these people when you're speaking with them? And because I think part of you, maybe you want to change their mind a little bit, change their heart.
I don't debate Zionists. I tell them to go. I'm trying to be polite. I usually,
you don't need to be polite.
I mean, I tell them go fuck themselves. Like, especially if they harass women when we're at the rallies, because I get women all the time that they're like, Jacob, I feel safe when you're around, because I'll go to their face and when they come like, why aren't you in the Iowa fighting yourself, you scumbag, like you coward? I'm just emasculating them basically, because usually it's men. I just run them out of our group usually. So I don't. It's not productive at this point to engage with Zionists. That's what we're like. What are we talking about here? Like they want to hit you with the in the year JS, like they're literally killing Palestinians every single day right now at an alarming rate. Why are we getting to this minutia little bullshit debate back and forth? Like, oh well, actually the Palestinians, they don't really like. Bro, come on, like these are not. We're literally fighting Nazis right now.
Yeah,
I don't get why people remain polite with these maniacs. Like I really don't. So if you see me like on TikTok, I'm known for pushing buttons. Like they hate me, the Zios, because I call out their bullshit. And I'm not afraid. I don't have to be as pious as some of my Muslim brothers and sisters. I don't mind getting a little, getting in the dirt, getting at them. And I expose people constantly. I had one guy, a Yemenis Jew, who super Zio. He ends up saying how he thinks Ashkenazi Jews like me aren't real Jews, and that Hitler was right for what he did. And this man who thinks that I'm anti-Semitic. Yeah. A Yemen Jew who's saying that, but thinks I'm anti-Semitic because I say free Palestine. Wallahi, you cannot make this up.
So, I mean, but I still want to ask, there are people out there that are on the fence who still don't get it. I had somebody today that obviously is happening in Lebanon, and he said to me, can you believe Israel or Lebanon attacked Israel for absolutely no reason? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, there's no way you are that ignorant. There's absolutely no way. But clearly he is. I mean, how do we start changing some of these minds and educating folks?
I mean, you can't teach empathy. You can't teach caring. Like, so that's what I was talking about in the beginning of this interview is we need to have a revolution of the mind where people actually care. We need to change this American individualized, like only caring about ourselves mentality. Like the fact that people just post like regular, like I unfollow like all my friends on social media for the most part. They'd be like, Jacob, why you don't follow me? I'm like, I'll be honest with you. You see what I'm posting. You don't engage in my content at all. You don't like it. You don't do anything. So I'm not giving anyone online energy because I spend 12 hours a day on my phone, like on social media. I'm not giving you any of my energy. Oh, well, Jacob, I'm really paying attention. I gotta go do research stuff. I'm like, research stuff? Hell are you talking about? Like, they kill a child every 30 minutes in Gaza, Israel does. Like, how many facts and videos do we need to present? I think a lot of people need to see the videos that we see. Because I think that's the bigger problem. Because I see videos every day of babies with their heads split open or crushed to death. Literally, I seen a video yesterday of a girl literally watched her last breath. She was under roll for 15 hours. And the journal, they were trying to get her out. By the time they got her out, she was dead. So, like, I don't know if you're still on the fence or not, like, you just got to get away from those people. If you have those kind of people in your life, fuck them. I'm sorry. Like, I want nothing to do with you. That's why you need to just push it to the side. Like, people who are going to see the light are going to see the light. Maybe it takes something as extreme as cutting people out of your life for them to learn that this is something to pay attention to.
Yeah. So then talk about how you do your content around Palestine now. What inspires you and how do you go through that creative process?
Sure. I'm always making content. My mind stays sharp. I look for opportunities. Like you saw when we were at a con, when I was on stage doing the thing, I was like, okay, I have the audience here. I'm going to be on stage. Like, I need to think of some skit really quick that I could do, So I did the one where when you're not Arab and you say Arabic words to your Arabic friends and everyone's like, I'd say my content at first, as far as Palestine goes, it took more of a serious note. It was more like just videos of me going to rallies, kind of recap videos done to music and things like that. But then I started to notice, especially like during the encampment time, like when Zionists were acting so preposterous about like how they were scared to walk around in America and things like college campuses, I was like, I have to satirize this. I'm sorry. Like, I'm a comedian at heart. So I did a video like teaching Jews how to walk in New York City, and that went like super viral. And I've just found this really good voice with using comedy in a way that really addresses very important issues. And I think satire has always been used in that way to, address even some of the darkest and heaviest of issues.
So for those who are listening and watching, you got to watch that video. What's the title again? How to walk?
Teaching Jews how to walk in New York City. I did a couple parts of it. I did one recently teaching Jews how to walk in a Muslim country when I was in Egypt. So yeah, that one is a good one. I'm always like, I did one like where it cuts to Abu Ubaidah giving a speech and stuff, and then he's like, we're gonna win the battle. And then it's like, but before I go, it's an hour beat. Like, but before I go, I just want to give a special shout out to Jacob Berger. And I'm like, what? And it's like sometimes we feel weary, but we always say, what would Jacob Berger do? I'm just like, shit, like they're gonna, it ends with like the FBI coming to get me. Joking, guys. For anyone's wrong, it was a skit, comedy skit. I have no actual association with any of that. Okay. So yeah, no, you should always be thinking of clever ways to present it. And obviously me being a white Jewish man now in the Arabic Muslim community, it opens up a whole world of comedy and things, not just obviously not just covering something about Palestine, but just about Arabic culture in general. Like, you know, there's a lot of content there, and I find people have really been loving me embracing the Arabic Muslim cultures and things like that. And you know, I mean, like you started over talking about the Dabka video I did. You know, so there's lots of ways to connect.
Yeah. And what kind of feedback are you getting from the Arab community and the Muslim community in general?
Oh, all positive, really. I think it's how would I say this? Like, we appreciate each other. They know like what I'm doing is genuine, that I come from a real place, and I want to see it's important what I do to bridge the gap and to demystify, especially because like in America, I think the average American has very little interaction with Arab or Muslim people. So me bringing it to a stage like my platform where millions of people can see it, I can normalize us being friends and connecting and us having the same goals and dreams and aspirations. I think that's a very positive thing that helps out the cause.
So have you done any skits with regards to what's happening right now with the whole police officer or the police uniform thing?
So in the subway?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I didn't do any video about. I've done videos before about obviously police brutality and things like that, but I haven't gotten to cover that one of late. But it's definitely a terrible thing that happened there.
So can you tell me about the uniform though, and how you started wearing that and doing your skits around it?
Yeah, sure. So when I joined the actors union, I quickly found out like, hey, you could work a lot as an extra on different procedural drama shows like Law and Order, Blue Bloods, like all those cop shows, and they pay you an extra $36 every time you bring your uniform. So I went and got a uniform. I had a buddy who was a cop. He gave me some shirts, and I was doing that. And then I just started making content with it, and people just really responded to the cop character. And that's when I did the rap challenge thing that went super viral, because people to this day still think I'm a real police officer. Even I have Zionists that will comment on my thing. They'll be like, I want to make sure you lose your job as an officer. I'm telling you, sergeant, dog. Like, it just shows the level of media literacy. So, you know, the people just like this sort of New York hip hop, cool white dude cop. And it was a real blessing. And it was a character that I created that was able to open tremendous doors for me, working with major celebrities and major rappers. And it became my signature character over the years. But I haven't really been doing it as much lately, obviously, with the traveling and everything. But I will be bringing it to Egypt, though. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try and direct traffic or something. Like a New York cop gets he gets the transfer, like, transferred to Egypt.
Yeah. I would love to see you do something with Macklemore one time.
Yeah, well, I did I did a video with him when he was on stage, where I did me hating on him.
I didn't see that. Where was that? Where can we find that?
It's on my page. The caption was, "When I'm not the most important white person in a room full of Arabs."
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was at the dinner.
Gala thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe one day we'll see. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I ask you about Gary Vee? Because I know that he was a bit of an inspiration to you. And I don't know. I haven't done my research much on him, obviously, with regards to what's happening in Palestine. But do you know if he's been speaking up, or has that changed your view?
I haven't kept up with Gary, honestly. He did help me out early on in my career. His talks and things like that were a huge inspiration for me, especially early on in my career where I had nothing, I had nothing to show for. I just had my talent and a dream as an actor. So his videos were very inspiring. And then when I went viral, his company, VaynerMedia, reached out to me, and we got to meet him several times at events. We got to chat it up. But we lost touch over the years, especially after I moved to LA and everything. So I haven't really kept up with him or know where I'm sure he's probably quiet about Palestine and things like that. He's a businessman.
Yeah. So what do you want your legacy to be here? You've been through a lot. You've seen a lot. Your career has been phenomenal so far, and what you're doing now. What do you want your legacy to be, though?
I just want my legacy to be that I made a difference in the world, that I helped people, whether it was entertaining them or making them think about something. I get messages all the time from people that say, "Jacob, thank you so much for the work you do," or about my comedy, like that they were going through depression or anxiety. Because I also am very vulnerable on my social media. Like, I've talked about going through depression and anxiety and things of that nature and my ups and downs, just to normalize those kind of things, because we all go through certain things. Overall, my legacy, I just want to be someone who made an impact, and hopefully what I do here will live on way past once I'm gone.
Yeah. So we have two interesting options, right? Vice President Harris and obviously former President Trump. But we have Jill Stein and we have Cornel West. And I think you met both of them at the event a few weeks ago. Who are you going with and who are you advising
Yeah.
to go with?
I'm a big supporter of Cornel West. I support all third-party candidates, but me personally, I like Cornel West the most just because he's been a social activist, social rights, civil rights figure for so many years. Every time I meet him, it's just very warm and embracing. And he says, "Oh, like when he speaks with passion, like it real, like talks about real things that you don't hear from other people." But we need to end this two-party system. Honestly, it's dog shit either way. Trump, Harris. It's just I'm not voting for either of them. That's why I don't want to even I don't support this system. There's nothing's gonna change until we start to change it. So, until we start voting third party and voting uncommitted, nothing's gonna change. So it's gonna take a long time, but hopefully we get to that point where we can have some real options instead of you're still choosing evil. If you're choosing lesser of two evils, you're still choosing evil. I don't want to choose that. I don't want to be involved in that. Yes, as far as local stuff goes, yes, I'm a Democrat. I'm gonna vote for because I do weaken social welfare programs, and there's things along the lines locally that we can agree are very important, and things where there are differences between Republican and Democrat. But on the presidential scale, I can't support either of the main party candidates.
So what do you think though when they threaten Arabs and Muslims with Trump?
I mean, it's just gaslighting to the 10th degree, honestly. It's just sickening. How are you going to tell someone, especially someone who's Palestinian, whose family, maybe half of their family has been killed, that oh, you have to vote for Harris because it'll be way worse for Trump. It's already worse. What else is there? Gaza's already been destroyed. What, I don't know. It's just, I hate being, and they're going to scapegoat us if Harris loses. It's going to be the same way they scapegoated us who supported Bernie Sanders when Hillary lost. It's going to be that same sort of energy.
Yeah. And just to go back to Cornell really quick, you obviously got to hear that talk he gave or that speech he gave in Dearborn. I don't think I've seen a more powerful speech than that in my life. What did you think about it?
Yeah, the thing is, he speaks like that every time he speaks with such fervor and passion, and you just, he's so genuine, and that's something you don't get from people who run for president. He knows he's not going to win. We know he's not going to win, but it's about sending a message. It's about sending the message. And if Trump ends up winning, and maybe that has to happen.
So you're doing a lot of great work. You've been advocating for Palestinians. You've been in the streets. You're using your platform to support us. What message do you have for the Palestinian people across the world, and obviously those that are living in Palestine?
I would say my message to the Palestinian people is that times are changing. It's been a very difficult 76 years for all of you, but the time is coming where there will be a right to return, where the occupiers will leave and Palestine will be free. And we just need to keep coming together and keep raising our voices. And I know it can feel like it's hopeless at times, but if anything, what the Palestinians have taught me is a feeling of resilience, a feeling of surviving that I've never seen in a group of people. And it truly inspires me to keep going. And we have no choice but to keep going. And all people in Gaza, they have no choice but to keep moving on and keep moving forward and keep trying to live no matter how hard life gets and how much violence they experience. And I honestly get a lot of inspiration just from the resiliency, like I said, of the Palestinian and the courage and the bravery of the Palestinian people.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate that. Any future projects you're working on that you want to share? I know you mentioned some earlier, but anything you'd like to share with the...
Yeah, I have a couple of I'm being the new Saturday Night Live movie coming out, directed by Jason Reitman. That's on October 11th. I'm an episode of American Sports Story with Ryan Murphy. I have a movie I'm in called Dr. Doctor. It's my first co-leading role. Should be out hopefully early next year. And just going to continue making content. And also, obviously, I'm going to be spending time out in the Middle East helping with refugees from Gaza on the ground. So I really appreciate all donations. We're helping to basically help house people. We pay 6 months rent, clothing, food, medical supplies, just everything they need to have some type of humanity back after basically leaving Gaza with nothing but the shirts on their back. So check it out. The link is in my bio. Really appreciate it.
And Instagram, TikTok are your main places. Is that correct?
Yeah, Instagram and TikTok are the main platform. I'm on all platforms, but those are the two main ones that I'm most active on.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate everyone for checking me out.
I'm assuming you have a YouTube channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I don't really utilize it much because I don't make a lot of long form content, and I lost monetization a while ago. So I just put it to the side for now.
Okay. Any final words for the audience before we let you go? I know you got a busy day. You're heading to a protest right now. So
Well, I headed to a meeting with veterans and stuff like that. I'm not a veteran, but my friends are. Greg Stoker, he's like another person, so he's in town. I'm gonna meet up with him. My message would be is people need to wake up. All right, we need to get angry. We need to. Everyone needs to do more. If you ever find yourself asking, "Am I doing enough for Palestine?" The answer is no, and that's even from me, who went over to Egypt and helped people from Gaza, like on the ground. The fact is, the world is failing Palestine, and we need to all come together and say, we are not going to stand for this, and we have to fight back, and we need a people's revolution. That's why I talk about the revolution of the mind. We all need to think about the world differently. We need to start caring about one another. We need to start having community again. And a lot of that is something that I've learned from spending time within the Arabian Muslim world, is seeing the way that faith and community and family provide a sort of a way to push forward. So that's my message to the world, and I hope that you see a free Palestine someday, inshallah.
inshallah. I appreciate you, Jacob. Have a great one.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're living in, it's time for Sumud. All about humanity, so this right here for everyone. Uplift, amplify, empower everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're living in, it's time for Sumud.